Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a highly requested video. This video is a study tips video. I think if you utilize these tips I'm going to give, you can give yourself the best chance of getting A's and A stars in all the exams you do. If you didn't know, I've mentioned it in like every single video, so you probably do. I am a third year medical student, so I've done so many exams, in my lifetime, and I think through doing all these exams I've learned quite a few useful tips and useful ways of studying that I would like to share with you guys. And just before we start, I want to say thank you so much to Manhart for sponsoring this video. I have teamed up with them to give away 3 of these beautiful flasks, so stick to the end of the video to find out how to enter the giveaway. So the first tip I would give is to plan. Now, if you plan well and set yourself up for success, you are going to study more productively and study in a more organized way. So what is a plan? This is mainly geared towards exams, but you can really apply this to anything that has a deadline, like an essay or a piece of coursework. You can either do this on paper or on your laptop. I actually did it on Excel last year and just made a spreadsheet because it's easier to do that. And what I would do is, when you are starting your revision for an exam or when you're starting to plan an essay, I would literally write down every single day from now until the deadline, until the exam, and in each day I would think of a topic or an area to focus on. So for me, for my exams last year, I think I started this maybe six-ish weeks before the exams, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. For every single day, I wrote down a topic or a few topics that I would do, and I put down rough sort of timings. Maybe from 10 AM till 12 I will do, I don't know, like head anatomy, and then from 1 till 3 I will do like the arm. What else is there in the body? The head and the arm. Not even arms, just an arm. Wow. If you just sit down and you start studying, you might be studying well, but you need to plan out how much time you have. Now, this is really important for university exams because there's often a lot of content, and if you just start studying, start revising without having any sort of conscious plan, you're likely to run out of time. And what I did is, whilst I was going along with my plan, I would update it and make adjustments. And especially if you're disorganized like me, having a plan just helps you to visualize everything and to also reassure yourself that you're on track. If you're more organized and, you know, mentally you kind of can just keep on track of things without writing it down, then you can even just do a plan in your head and just think, okay, this week I will do this topic, next week I'll do this topic. I think it's easier to write it all down so you can visualize it and see it and just really know where you are and what you have to do. Tip number 2 is to make things active. Now, I said this before and people are like, what do you mean by like active learning? What active learning is, it's when you're really engaging with the material that you're learning. Quite a passive thing to do, and something that I used to do when I was a bit younger is just read information. And reading information is quite dangerous. Can I say that? It's a dangerous method, because when you read something, you might feel like you've learnt it just because you can recognize it again if you read it again. But if you take away that text, if you take away the reference, if you can't actively recall the information, you haven't learnt it. So to make sure that you can recall the information, what I think you need to do is really actively focus on the thing you're reading. So by that I mean, when you're reading a new piece of information that you're trying to learn, I would write it down at the same time and also say it aloud if you can. So, I don't know, for example, say you want to learn that chickens lay eggs. Say you didn't know that. This is a bad example, but say you didn't know that chickens laid eggs and you read this in your textbook or whatever, or your notes, chickens lay eggs. If you just read that, you will probably forget that. So the best way to really retain that in your memory is to write this out, chickens lay eggs, and say it at the same time, because in that way you're really engaging with this piece of material and it's more likely to go into your memory, your long-term memory. Testing yourself is an amazing way of really learning information. I would find like a quiz about chickens laying eggs, or some sort of question, test, multiple choice, exam type thing, and then I would try to answer the questions, because by doing that, you then have to search your brain for the information, you have to really engage with the whole process, and it's just going to help you learn so much. The chickens laying eggs example is not that good. Just think about an exam, say a biology exam, and once you've gone through the material, you've written it out, you said it aloud, you've engaged with the material, then just do a practice biology exam. Find whatever exam board you're on, find a past paper, just do that, because you're testing yourself and you're going to have to search your brain for the information. Even if you really feel like you've learned a piece of information, if you've just done it once and you never come back to that piece of material and you never revise it, that thing is going to come into your brain and fly out the other side. So in order to really solidify something in your memory, you need to repeatedly go back to that piece of information. And the best way of doing this is at spaced intervals. So say on day one, I learn a new piece of information, chickens lay eggs. Why am I so obsessed with chickens today? If on day one I learn that piece of information, it's gone into my short-term memory. The next day, I should come back to that and then actively recall it. Chickens lay eggs, maybe 2 days after that, do it again, and then maybe a week after that, do it again, then maybe 2 weeks after that. So what you do is you kind of increase the length of the interval. This is all in hopes that by the end of all these spaced repetitions, this piece of information is in your long-term memory. I don't study linguistics, but I feel like this is probably a similar process to language learning. As a child, if you're surrounded by a language and you keep hearing these words, spaced repetitions, and then you have to actively recall this information, you have to speak in the language, everything goes into your long-term memory, and that's how we can speak languages, I guess. If there's any people who study this, don't come for me. I'm just trying to make a point that by repeating a piece of information and by actively recalling it, we are really going to increase the chances of remembering it. I know that there's some people, and I used to do this as well, I would just type out notes for hours, just typing out, copying from like a lecture slide or just copying information. It's not a good use of time, because this is not a very active process. If you're just copying information and you're not really, you have music on in the background and you're just typing out these notes for hours and hours and hours, yes, they might look really pretty and organized, but if you're never going back to this information and you're not repeatedly focusing on the information, you're not actively recalling the information, this is never going to go into your long-term memory. So I think those three things, planning, actively recalling information, and then using spaced repetitions to get us into more long-term memory, is really that really makes up a bulk of effective learning. But there's some other things that can just help make studying and learning more easy and more effective. And I think one of those things is just looking after your general health and your well-being. It's something that we can really completely neglect during busy periods, during exam periods. Another thing that I've been doing recently that I think is really helping me out is taking a flask with me to university or whenever I'm studying. This is a super lightweight flask. It is, look, I've been making some very nice matcha lattes with oat milk, and I just feel so I'm just green, I'm just zen, I am in the zone when I make a matcha latte. You could use this for any drink, for tea, coffee. I just think green tea is so good, and I actually looked it up to see why exactly green tea is so good. And there's these things called phytochemicals inside green tea, and phytochemicals are just chemicals produced by plants. But green tea has got a bunch of these phytochemicals which can make us feel more relaxed, can reduce our anxiety, and can also improve our cognitive performance. So green tea is actually pretty amazing. I've also not got a very good experience with flasks and bottles, because I've had a couple of occasions where they have decided to just come undone in my bag and spill liquid all over my notes and just destroy everything. Something I really like about the Manhart flask is that it has a multiple lock mechanism. So you have to undo this and then undo the lid by pressing a button. So it can't just unscrew, and if you want to unscrew it, you have to physically do this. So it's not like some other flasks where you literally just pop the thing and it will open. If you put a hot drink in here, it will also keep it warm for 8 hours, and if you put a cold drink in, it will keep it cold for 24 hours. So you can use this for cold drinks and hot drinks. It's also super slim and just super light. It's really easy to fit into a bag and use every day. And yeah, I have been using this whenever I go to the library for like a long study period. I will just take this out of my bag, put it onto the desk, and there I have my green tea to keep me energized. It's not very effective to study in really big, long blocks without any breaks. So what I like to do is I'll study for like maybe 20 minutes without any distractions, hopefully, and then I'll take like a couple of minutes break and just have a bit of my drink and just kind of relax for just a minute or two, because it helps to like refresh me a little bit and just get back into the zone. Now it's time for the giveaway. If you want to bag yourself one of these flasks, there are just a few things you have to do. So the first thing you need to do is to follow myself and Manhart on Instagram, and I'll put the usernames here, so go follow those if you would like to enter. And then what I need you to do is to put your Instagram handle in a comment on this video, so that we can check that you're actually following the accounts, because you know, some people are sneaky. I'll be announcing the 3 winners on Instagram within a week of this video being uploaded, so just keep an eye out. I will tag you guys on my Instagram story, and then you'll be contacted through DM, so please keep an eye out. And just to add that you can use the code SOONYSON for 20% off in the UK and the USA on Amazon, but just check the description if you're interested. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this video has been useful. I hope the tips are helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!